Hi, everyone. Mitch from BigDogs.com. We got the whole gang here for college football week 6. Of course, it's my favorite day of the week during my favorite time of the year, college football Saturday. We also have the Major League Baseball Wildcard Game 2 of all 4 series. We're going to briefly touch on those as well. Ron Romanelli with us, Big Al. We've got Chris, Jay Briggs, John Murphy, Jovan Burt's Hot Rod. We've got I don't know. I gotta say, probably 1,000 wins a week here between this group of cappers. So hopefully, you guys can grab some winners off of this. And of course, we've got our premium picks over at the website every single day. Now, Ron, baseball yesterday. You know, the Cardinals' meltdown of the bullpen in the 9th inning and the meltdown of the Hoagie master, Alek Manoah, just way too fat out there against the Mariners. He got absolutely smoked. What do you think? Max Scherzer, was that $45 million worth of baseball we saw out there? I'm just, I mean, this is what's wrong with baseball. All of those things that we just saw yesterday. You got a guy who's like the prime of his career comes out there in probably the worst shape of his life. You've got, Max Scherzer, who makes more money than really some teams, than like the entire Tampa Bay roster. And then you have Luis Castillo, who just unhittable, absolutely put on a show.
Yeah, I think the big thing is these teams play 162 games in regular season. Now it comes down to a best 2 out of 3. So, I mean, anything can happen. I don't think Alek Manoah, he was pitching fantastic down the stretch of the regular season. So, one bad start. Yeah. I mean, it was a bad start last night, but I don't think it had anything to do with his conditioning at all.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I don't know. The guy makes, the guy's like a professional athlete. Maybe he can have a salad once in a while. I'm not really sure. Al, what do you think about today's card and what we saw in baseball yesterday?
Oh, as far as today's card, I think, when I compare it to other cards, I would say it's probably mediocre, to be frank. But that's my opinion. One man's steak is another man's hamburger. I'm sure someone here is looking at today's card and thinks this is the greatest thing they've seen all year. But for me, it's kind of meh. But you can still make money off, crap cards. I had the Houston Cougars last night. That was the easiest winner, you'll ever have, right?
Had it all the
way. Yes, Bob Prince used to say we had them all the way, right? Yeah,
that's just
so how it goes. But ask me on Sunday how I like today's card.
So Ruflo, when you go out to a diner for like lunch and they give you the option, like what would you like on the side there? The options are fries, fruit, or a salad. How often do you go for the fruit or the salad? Because this will be the Manoah factor. What do you?
I upgrade the fries. I don't go just normal fries.
Loaded.
Yeah, loaded. I go poutine. I do the whole 9.
Don't skip on the sour cream.
I ain't getting no fruit cup. What am I? No, I upgrade the fries.
In all fairness, Manoah is a great pitcher. I would like to see him just take his gig. I used to say the same thing about John Lester and his hitting. And that here's a guy that makes, $40 million a year, $35 million a year. You would think he could spend 20 minutes a day in the batting cage, I used to say the same thing about him. So I always criticize everybody. So I'm sure, and everybody always criticizes me. So I think it's all fair. I, of course, can dish it out, but I can't take it. Everyone knows that. Jay, what's going on today? Big one in Texas. You got the Longhorns and Sooners, Texas State Fair. What's your favorite of the deep fried foods there, the offerings?
Man, it's too many to count. I think the first one I'm probably going to is the Oreos. Though I like me some fried Oreos. I'll be out there today. Bad day to go if you just want to eat food because it's going to be completely packed. But I like the atmosphere. All the Oklahoma fans, all the Texas fans. Should be a great day out there today. So can't wait for it.
I love when they just show all the deep fried foods there. They used to have in Vegas at Mermaids the deep fried Oreos and deep fried Twinkies, but now it's the Circa. They bought that land and built the Circa on it. And they do not serve the deep fried Twinkies or Oreos there. I asked. Sean, how's it going today?
Oh, it's not going too bad. 2-1 in football last night, so I'll take that. But I had to sweat out that under between UNLV and San Jose State. Totally one-sided game there, but we got the under in that one. missed in the other late game. But yeah, like I'm with Al today. It's kind of one of those cards. It's got quite a few plays on the go, but outside of that, it was a bit of a challenge getting them in, locked them in early in the week, and we'll see how it goes.
I was a greedy pig yesterday. I took Rutgers on the money line instead of taking the points, and ended up costing me. I knew they were going to play it tough, and the thing is, like, as soon as they missed that field goal before the half and acted like nothing happened, I knew I was a dead man. It was just one of those games. And then they said, "Oh, they shouldn't take any chances here." It's like interception. It's like, no, man, I don't even understand.
Yeah, Rutgers has been ugly.
I do not understand the 2 quarterback system. Do not
No.
understand it. I'm not a fan.
Those are teams I look to fade every time. You've got 2 if somebody's not good enough to take over the number 1 spot, you just assume that it's not a good situation there. So those are teams I'm always looking to go against.
Al's like over there with his Michigan hat saying, "Yeah, Tom Brady and Drew Henson were pretty good." What happened to old Drew Henson? He was seen as the better one.
Yeah, at the time, we never thought Tom Brady was anything special.
Yeah, it was Drew Henson was the A, Brady was the B. Jovan, how's it going today?
Just ready for another Saturday. Last night went 1-1. I switched up the football play, trying to win it into a loser. It happens, but when you study long, you study wrong sometimes. So it is what it is. But my baseball play hit the Guardians early, so
I had the Guardians early with you, but then I also had the Cardinals in that debacle against the Phillies. I mean, it's like when he hits the guy, it's like, why don't you just yank him right there? It's like, come on. I mean, it wasn't like it was like it barely hit him or something. I don't know, man.
Yeah, you plunked him.
And then the Cardinals today go with Michaelos. They don't even have Wainwright or Montgomery going. Rod, how you doing today? I know you were on the Phillies. You were on the right side of that one.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it was a no-doubter when the Cardinals went up 2-0. I thought they were. I was like, oh, there's the Phillies.
I was up 2-0. I knew I was dead.
So, other than that, good day. I'm liking today's card. Hopefully, quits to getting us a big pile of money.
Well, anyways, of course,
makes some gems in today's card.
Got a lot of premium picks out there and a lot of packages and the cappers, and we'll mix those in with the picks. But we've got a great card of college football. Big Al doesn't like it, but I like it. I think this is I like college football. Number 1, conference play. Number 2, when we have data to look at. And I think we have both of those things now. So it's like, I like those things. I think the conference play is the great equalizer, in college football. We have some interesting things, some interesting matchups because of those sort of things. It's those sort of things, they don't go away, year after year. They just somehow they just continue to drag on. But we've got, you guys want to do the baseball first, or you want to do the football first? Let's just do the football first then. We got Tennessee LSU. There's a conference game. Maryland Purdue. Oh, here's a conference. Directional Michigan battle. Western Michigan and Eastern Michigan. These guys hate each other's guts. Florida versus Missouri. Oklahoma, Texas. These guys get along real well too. Virginia, Louisville. Mississippi State, Arkansas. Indiana, Michigan. Two of the asshole coaches of America faced off in that one. Got Kansas, TCU. Got Bowling Green, Buffalo. Ron Romanelli, any of those games just light up the board for you?
I'm going to go in that directional Michigan game. Instead of Central, Eastern, or Western, give me Southern Michigan. But now in that Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, I like EMU plus the points. I think they're good as a conference dog and against the spread. And their offense, last week, I think they were kind of looking ahead in that game against UMass. They got the job done in terms of winning the game, but didn't cover the spread. But still, their defense looks solid in that one. Their offense has been solid this season. I like Taylor Powell at quarterback, and I do think that their run game has really stepped it up this season. 4.6 yards per carry, over 150 yards on the ground per game. I think they're going to give Western Michigan some trouble in this one. Western Michigan, they've battled some injuries this season, and they played some tough teams at Michigan State, Pittsburgh, at San Jose State's not an easy game either, but I still think it's going to be a close one. So I take those points.
So a lot of people in the comments still talking baseball here about DeGrom and how his last 4 starts have not been that great. Last time out, I thought against the Braves, I predicted he would throw a no-hitter. I think that this time out, he comes out and has a career-defining performance. That's just my prediction. I don't have a premium on it. Just throwing that out there. Any thoughts on that, or you got a premium or anything?
No, it's been strange to watch him. I thought he looked good against the Braves. He just had a couple of location issues. He kept a couple pitches up and he got behind the count to Olsen and Austin Riley. But, I mean, when DeGrom's on, he's the best pitcher on the planet. So, in the big moment, we'll have to see if he can step up. And, I lean towards the Padres on the run line because I think it's just going to be a close game, plus 1.5 runs, low-scoring game and a close game.
I like the Mets in this one. I just think DeGrom is I think he's one of those pitchers. Like some pitchers I feel are overrated, out there, and some players I think are overrated. I pretty much voiced my opinion on who those are. And I'm not saying Manoah is overrated. I just think that he doesn't take his job seriously enough. I think that, that some of these other guys are not overrated, like DeGrom, and this is his time, down 1-0, home, wild card. There is no tomorrow, This is the day where he's got to come out and pitch his best game of his career. This is his day, and it's like, I think he's the type of guy that does it. There's certain guys when like Michael Penix Jr. or something, like they're never going to do it, right? But like this guy, it's like, he's going to, if he comes out there and just absolutely smokes him down, 89 pitches, something like that, right? It's like, is anyone going to be shocked? Nope. I don't think so. I'm hoping for it, I'm just hoping for it. I just want to see it. Al, what do you think of this slot?
I think there's a lot of good games in this slot. For the game I'll talk about here, let's go out to the Red River matchup between Oklahoma and Texas. Oklahoma was, blown out last week by TCU. They were favored by 5 in the game, but they lost by 31, 55-24. But the good news for Oklahoma here is that when you take a look at how 500 or better college football teams do, when they lose by more than 28 points, and if they were favored by more than 4 in that defeat, they've generally bounced back their next game, covering 64.7%, going back 42 years. So I think this is just a perfect bounce back spot for Oklahoma, and I'm going to take them plus the 9 points.
The best part of that game last week was I had the over. I love totals that are 10 touchdowns or better. Chris, what do you think of this slot?
Well, on that topic of totals that are 10 touchdowns or better, I like the over between TCU and Kansas. I just think this is going to be, the first of 45 wins this game. I love this game to be a track meet. You look at what TCU's done in their last 4 games. Put up 38 against Colorado, 59 against Charleston State, 42 against SMU, and then we just mentioned 55 against Oklahoma. And Kansas, they had 14-11 against Iowa State last week, but Iowa State sort of dictated the pace in that game. Prior to that, 35 against Duke for Kansas, 48 against Houston, 55 against West Virginia. Yeah, I love this game to get into the 80 range. Forget about the 70s. I love the over in this one.
Jake?
I'm going to that Red River game as well. Texas, y'all know I love my Texas teams, and Texas and Oklahoma. I can't really remember the last time Texas beat Oklahoma, and now y'all want me to lay 9.5. Like I said, I will be out there tonight, or out there today. I think Texas does win the game, but I'm gonna take the points with Oklahoma. This is always a back and forth game, a tight game. Texas wins it. Oklahoma covers the spread. I know they have a young guy in there today, but this is just one of those games. I'm telling you, it's going to be a tight game the whole way through, and I would love to have those points in my back pocket. Texas pulls it out. Oklahoma covers. 8.5, 9.
Sean?
Points.
Yeah, I'm with Al and Jay on that one as well. I love Oklahoma here today, but I'll talk about a different game. I like Indiana here plus the points at home against Michigan this afternoon. You got Michigan coming off that double-digit win over Iowa on the road last week. I liked them in that spot. Didn't end up taking them. They eked out the cover there by a couple of points. I just think just the style that Michigan plays this year. I just think they're going to shorten this game themselves, and that obviously plays into the favor of Indiana here, catching north of 3 touchdowns. You look at last year, Michigan won this game by 22 points. They were a 20.5 point home favorite in that game. So here we're laying more points than that with Michigan on the road. I just think Indiana. Comes through with a cover here in an uglier game than expected.
Jovan?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at this Louisville UVA game. No, I don't think Malik Cunningham's playing for Louisville, and I think UVA takes advantage of that. They've been playing well lately. Last game, I think they did lose quite handily, but they've been playing better, relatively speaking. And I think just by way of Cunningham playing and UVA being at home, I'm gonna take them and money line. It's 1.5 at this point, underdog. So you might as well just take the money line.
Rod?
For me, I like the under in Tennessee and LSU. I think it's just too many points here. Both defenses holding teams under 20 points a game. I know both offenses definitely been racking it up, but I just don't see the shootout here. Especially historically, these two teams have definitely trended to the under. You look at LSU, and they're 5-1 in their last 6 conference games, so that under. And head-to-head, 3-0-1 the last 4 meetings. I think this total is just a touch too high, and we end up in the 50s, but not get up over in the 60s. So I like the under Tennessee LSU.
I like Purdue on the money line against Maryland. I think they beat them outright, and I think that the Maryland defense just is still the problem there. Like I've said every single week on this show, Maryland's had 4 defensive coordinators in the last 4 years, not for the good reasons either. They didn't go off and take on the head coaching jobs, or they're not the next D'Amico Ryans or anything like that. What it is that Maryland can't stop the pass at all, and all Purdue can do is pass. They're going to pass all over them. They're going to go over the top on them. They have that one wide receiver. He's open every single play. I don't care who they play. And then at the same time, we look at Purdue's record. That one loss against Penn State, they had them dead. The other loss against Syracuse, I was on the right side of some miserable calls in that one as a better. And, I've been on the right side of some good calls. I've been on the wrong side of some good calls. I mean, Indiana, Illinois was travesty. I mean, it was an embarrassment to the game of college football, the way that game was refereed. But, you look at that Purdue-Syracuse, and it was equal to that final drive that Syracuse scored on Purdue. They didn't get any yards at all. It was all penalties. The entire drive started with the unsportsmanlike conduct on the touchdown. They kicked off from their own 10-yard line or something, and then it was pass interference, holding, whatever. They gave them the ball at the 2-yard line, and they punched it in. Congratulations, you guys win. That's basically what happened in that game. I don't know. I'm less than sold on Maryland. Plus, you got a quarterback that's got some injury issues as well. He goes out. I think just Purdue has played better than Maryland. The eye test. We go to our next set of games. Georgia State against Georgia Southern. Ohio against Akron. Oof. What's the get-in price on that thing? Got Cincinnati, South Florida. That one's always a war. Central Michigan, Ball State. Northwestern, Wisconsin. UAB, Middle Tennessee. Tulane, ECU. Could be a good one. UMass, Romanelli. Home. Against Liberty. You got the Miami of Ohio versus Kent State. Oklahoma State, Texas Tech. That's a good one. Northern Illinois, Toledo. Pitt, Virginia Tech. Will Virginia Tech score a point? Georgia, Auburn. The Brian Harsin death march continues. Got Navy against Tulsa. UCLA, Utah. Ron, a whole smorgasbord of games to pick from there.
Mm-hmm. I like that 3:30 time slot, but in that Cincinnati USF game, Cincinnati, you know, they're big favorites yet again, and we're used to seeing them as pretty big favorites in this series, but they're 0-6-1, 6 losses, 1 push in the last 7 against the spread against USF, and there's been a lot of similar lines. This is actually one of the larger spreads we've seen in this series, but, you know, USF, we saw them compete against Florida, covered that number easily in that game, almost won the game outright. So we know, although there's been a lot of issues for this USF team, they still have the talent to compete against some of the bigger teams. And, you know, I'd say Florida's in better shape than Cincinnati is right now. And I think Cincinnati has some issues at quarterback. You know, Ben Bryant's got a lot of talent, but he also has some decision-making issues. And I think that we could see a couple interceptions, a couple turnovers by the Cincinnati offense. And that should be more than enough for USF to cover this number. So I think this is going to be a Cincinnati win, a pretty comfortable win, but with how many points they're laying, I think the USF doesn't even have to show up to cover this number. So give me USF and the points.
How about you, Al?
Oh, I'm going to take a look at the big matchup between the Panthers and the Eagles. Last week, the Panthers went up to New York to play Army, and they upset the Black Knights 31-14. They were a big underdog in that game. They were an underdog of 8.5 points. But if you take a look at college football teams, how they do off big road upset wins, they don't do very well if they were an underdog of 7 or more points in that game, and especially if they're now, if they're now not favored by more than 3 points against a conference rival, and they won that game in blowout fashion by 17 or more points. So off that 31-14 win, this is an obvious letdown spot, given this, it's a conference game. It's a tight point spread range. These types of upsetters only cover the spread about 35.7% of the time over 42 years. So I'm going to, grab the points with Georgia Southern and fade Georgia State.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to lean towards Tulane laying the points in this one. You know, I do like East Carolina's offense, but I think it's going to be one of the toughest offenses that they've faced to date. The Pirates, they did have bad luck against NC State in week 1, but East Carolina, they're going up against the top-ranked pass defense in the country of Tulane. You know, I think, Holton Ahlers, who, has a history of being able to move the football very well through the air, I think he's going to have some trouble against Tulane today. I look for the Green Wave to win this one by at least 3 or 4 points. So I'm taking Tulane in this one.
Jay?
I was going to that Tulane game as well, man. I'm going to lay the points with Tulane too. This Tulane team has actually been surprisingly decent this season. They had the win over Kansas State, which now looks even better than they beat Houston in overtime last week. Their only loss coming to Southern Missouri, I think I'm saying. Anyways, East Carolina, man, they're just one of those teams. They're going to shoot themselves in the foot in this game. They're going to be in the game the whole game. Then they're going to miss like 2 field goals in the third quarter to put them out of it. I like Tulane to win this football game. East Carolina is not going to get it done today. Lay the points with Tulane. Only 3. I think that's a beautiful number. I think they win it by at least a touchdown.
Sean, another one for Tulane?
No. I'll go to the game everyone's going to be watching here today, Akron, Ohio. We've got Ohio laying double digits for the second time this season. The last time they did, they beat Fordham, an FCS school, 59-52. This is just a team that shouldn't be laying double digits against anyone, really. You look at their opponents this year, every opponent's rushed for over 100 yards and thrown for 300-plus yards. Akron scored 40 points in the last 2 weeks. That's a huge accomplishment for them based on their recent experience over the years here. Coming off a 31-28 loss to Bowling Green last week. 2 weeks ago, they actually only lost by 9 on the road at Liberty. I just don't see any reason for Ohio to be laying double digits here, so I'll grab the points with the Zips.
Javon?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at this Georgia Southern Georgia State game, and I don't know. I've watched quite a bit of both of these teams this year for some reason. It's probably based on who they play more than them, but yeah, I like Georgia Southern in this one. I'm gonna take the money line to get the job done against Georgia State. Just boils down to what I seen on the field with these two teams. And last week, Georgia Southern played Coastal tough, so I think they get a win in this one at Georgia State. Say it's a rivalry game, but fairly new series with these two teams just from 2014. So I think Georgia Southern gets the job done in this one.
Rod?
We're going to look at the Utes and the Bruins, and I like the under in this game. You look at both offenses scoring into the 40s, and I don't see a shootout. I think both defenses step up and play solid in this one. You look UCLA defense holding teams to 20.8 points a game. Utes holding teams to 14.4 points a game, and the total is at 64.5, and I think that's a touch too high. I think the defense is definitely come and shine in this one, and we get ourselves an under. So I don't see that as a shootout game. I like the under. Defense is shine. Take the under. Utes and Bruins.
I'm going to take Miami of Ohio here plus the points against Kent State, the Flashers. I know Kent State can run the football, but actually the Miami defense is 8th against the run in the nation. They're really not all that bad. And when it comes to the other side, I always try and find the worst defensive number and who has that, and I start with them as my loser. And Kent State 124th against the pass, giving up almost 300 yards per game. Then what I generally do is try and talk myself off of that with some of the other numbers. But then you look at Kent State, 110th in takeaways. And in a game like this, like a max style crap fest, I think those turnovers usually come into a big play, especially for a road team that has never played well at Miami of Ohio. When we Zawacki this thing and look at some of the trends, the home team's covered 4 of the last 5. Kent State 1-4 against the number of the last 5 at Miami. Kent State 2-6 again the last 8 overall against Miami. The Dogs covered 5 of the last 6. So we could Zawacki this thing up and down, and any way you slice it. Take the points with Miami of Ohio. Maybe do a Miami parlay today. You can do the Miami parlay. Anyway, speaking of Miami parlays, let's go to the next slot. In this one, we've got Georgia Tech against Duke, Vandy against Ole Miss, Miami against North Carolina, Arizona State against Washington, Michigan State against Ohio State. Game scares the crap out of me. UTSA, Western Kentucky. Ron, any of these?
Yeah, it's kind of, this is a play going against most of the sharps out there, at least what I've seen in different articles. But I like Duke laying the points against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, I don't know how often we see a team that pulls off an upset on the road after they were down by, or they were dogs by 20 plus points on the road, come back home and then be an underdog again at home. I don't think that happens very often, but it just goes to show you the books aren't really comfortable with this Georgia Tech team. And I think for good reason. Duke, the offense is looking real solid this year. This was a team that not really many people expected to do much because there was so many new faces and new names, but really good job of recruiting by Elko. And Riley Leonard's looking solid at quarterback, 72% completion percentage. They're running the football well. Obviously, Duke's not going to be known for their defense, but they've been able to get the stops when they needed them. They get pressure on the opposing quarterback, and Georgia Tech's offense is not very good this season. The offensive line really struggling, at least 4 sacks allowed each of the last 3 weeks. So I'll lay the points here with Duke.
The Georgia Tech offense looks like a Patrick Mahomes run offense when you compare it to the Georgia Tech defense. I'll tell you that much. And also, Duke has the one loss, and it's to Kansas, which now really doesn't look that bad. At Kansas, not a horrible loss. Al, what do you think?
Oh, I'm curious to know why the Ohio State Michigan State game scares you, but
because it just seems too easy.
Too easy which way?
Ohio State.
Okay.
Michigan State's really reeling this year, but it's like, are the Spartans? Is this the game where you throw out the numbers and you just say it's Michigan State, hosting Ohio State, and they dig their heels in and they don't get run over?
I'm a numbers guy, and you take a look at what Ohio State has been doing. I actually have my strong.
Then it's easy. Then it's easy.
Yeah, my strongest play of the season to date, college or pro, was on that 77-21 game when Ohio State steamrolled Toledo, and they've not let up since. They scored 52 after that. They got 49 the game after that. And if you take a look at how
Toledo just didn't get the calls in that one. I think that was part of the problem. I'm just kidding.
they just needed another 30 minutes, and they were right there.
They just got screwed by the rest.
Anyway, but if you take a look at how college football teams do, with this kind of offensive role, when they've got 178 or more points over their 3 previous games, they've covered 72% going back to 1980. If they were installed as a favorite of more than 20 points in their current game, which of course is the case here, I just think this is just a massacre, and I'm going to lay the points with Ohio State.
Chris, massacre. What do you got?
Well, I'm going to go to.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked.
I'm going to go to the matchup between Western Kentucky and UTSA. Maybe it's the Johnny Public play here, but I love the over in this one. You have 2 teams that can move the football at will. 9th and 10th in the country, respectively, in terms of total yardage per game. Western Kentucky 9th in the country in scoring against the 116th ranked scoring defense of UTSA. UTSA 20th in the country, putting up almost 39 points per game. And Western Kentucky, they have a nice scoring defense just outside the top 50. But remember, look at who they've played. Austin Peay, FIU. Who else have they played here? Indiana, Hawaii. This is just not a murderer's row of offensive units. So I like this one to go over the number. I think both defenses get lit up in this one. And I think we see a game closer to the 90-point game that was in the conference championship last year.
Well, 10 touchdowns and a field goal, and you're home. Jay?
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Miami in this one, man. I like the Hurricanes to bounce back here today. Off a bye week, and that the 2 losses to Texas A&M and the Middle Tennessee one is the real head scratcher. But I really think they bounce back against this overrated North Carolina team. North Carolina really hasn't played anybody. They lost to Notre Dame, who isn't high on my list either. And they beat up on Virginia Tech, which doesn't really say much. And I think they're just in a bad spot here today. I think the Hurricanes, with that massive class they had this year, I think they bounce back here today and they run all over North Carolina. Lay the points. They win by at least a touchdown. I like the Hurricanes.
John?
I got to go the opposite way of Chris here. I like the under in that UTSA Western Kentucky game. I actually liked the over last week when Western Kentucky played Troy at home. That game we saw a total of 55 and ended up going over, just got into the low 60s. I just think this number is too high here. We've got UTSA coming back home off a 45-30 win over Middle Tennessee State last week. We'll note here that UTSA 7-0 to the under the last 7 home games off an ATS win over the last 3 seasons. I just think their defense is a little better maybe than Chris gives them credit for here. You look back earlier this season, they went on the road at Texas, lost that game 41-20. That was a bit closer game than what it looked in the end. I think they can contain this Western Kentucky offense. I think people kind of look quickly to that game 2 weeks ago when Western Kentucky scored 73 against Florida International, but Florida International is an awful team. So I'll go with the under here on that one.
Javon?
Yeah, I was looking for something else because Jay touched on the Hurricanes game, but yeah,
it's all right.
I'm gonna roll with Miami in this one. It's mainly because after that Middle Tennessee loss, they got an extra week to recuperate, which should work wonders against a UNC team that just can't stop a nosebleed on defense. They could score, but the hook's scary in this one, which is why I didn't touch it as a premium. But I think when it's all said and done, the Hurricanes bounce back and get the job done in this one. Shorten the quarterback Van Dyke has to shorten his throws. He's throwing the ball way too far down the field, not connecting with his guys. He has to get some confidence and get some easy completions. That's what I think. And I think they do that in this one.
Oh, sorry. Rod?
For me, I'm looking at I like the USM here. USM, the Golden Eagles versus Troy. They're perfect on the season. 4-0 ATS to start the year, and 2-0 on the road. I think six here is 6.5 points here. Too many points. Golden Eagles keep it close. They're 7-0 ATS in their last 7 games. I know Troy's been playing great. But you look here, I think this is a 3-point game all day. Both teams keep it close. Defenses come to shine, and it's a 3-point game. I got to take Southern this year, plus the 6.5. I think they keep it tight, close. Field goal wins it late.
You're outside of your slot, but that's okay. We'll just hold it against
Oh,
you.
did I jump? My bad. My bad.
It's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm gonna take I'm taking Ole Miss here against Vandy, and I really think that I should have gave this one out as a premium pick. This is going to be an absolute slaughter of slaughters. You've got a jerk coach who loves to rub it in against a horrific defense. Once again, you know, when you get the data to work with, the first place that I always look is at those defensive stats. And Vandy, oh boy, man, they are just they salivate, you know, to bet against a team like this. 123rd in yards allowed against the Lane Kiffin team. 115th is that in scoring defense. 123rd in takeaways. Good freaking luck in this one. They're going to run right over them. The Vandy defense is 126th against the pass, 89th against the run. The Vandy offense, one-dimensional against the good Ole Miss defense. This is the best Ole Miss defense they've had since the Land Sharks. I don't even see how this line is under 25. I don't see it. I think this one is the beatdown. I don't know why I didn't give it out as a premium. Anyways, go to our next set of games, and then this one, the guys will tell you what they have for sale today and what they think is their best package available. Got Utah State and Air Force, Texas State and App State, FIU and UConn. Ooh. Troy versus Southern Miss, Zowacki. New Mexico, Wyoming. Louisiana Tech, UTEP. Arkansas State, JMU. And yeah, we can go out to through the 7:30s as well. USC, Washington State, Boston College, Clemson, the red bandana game. Iowa State against Kansas State. Notre Dame, BYU in Vegas. Kentucky, South Carolina. Illinois, Iowa. Wake Forest, Army, 2 teams that wear the same color uniforms. Ron.
Yeah, you know, last year, that Army Wake Forest game, final score of 70-56 Wake Forest. I don't think it'll be that high scoring this time around, but I do like the over yet again in this spot. You know, Army runs that triple option offense, and Wake Forest's defense not really designed around that, and that's why they struggled last year, giving up those 56 points. But on the other side, this is not a very good Army defense this season. I think their defense is actually in worse shape than where it was last year, as they're giving up over 400 yards per game, 30 points per game. They're 5.2 yards per carry on the ground. Quarterbacks are having success in terms of completion percentage, so Wake Forest should be able to score at will. But I think Army will find some big runs, some home run plays on the ground this season. And actually, Army, you know, they do run the triple option, but they're actually throwing the ball a little bit more this year than they do in years past. Them and Air Force kind of doing that. Navy, not so much. But I think Army could put up some points. I think this is going to be a competitive game, but I like the over in the end. I think we get over that total. And then I've got 8 plays total on Pick Dogs Premium today. Really liking the card today. I think your best bet is just to grab a long-term plan, a 3-day pass to get the plays in college, and then the NFL tomorrow. I'm getting my NFL premiums already locked in, ready to go after the show. So I got a bunch of different individual plays and 3-packs. So check it out at Pick Dogs Premium.
Al?
I'm going to take a look at the Big Ten matchup between Iowa and Illinois. The Illini are playing great defense this year. They're allowing just 8.4 points per game. Iowa giving up just 10 points per game. This over-under line's been installed at 36.5 points. And if you take a look at how matchups in college football do between 2 good defensive teams that give up 14 or less points per game at game 5-4, the under has cashed 67%. We saw this twice last week in the Michigan-Iowa and in the Kentucky Ole Miss games. Both of them went under the total. I think this game goes under as well. I'm going to look for a low-scoring game here. At Pick Dogs Premium today, I've got my Wildcard game of the year and also a second baseball play. I've got my college football game of the week, and that headlines a 7-play college football card. So a total of 9 plays today. I've also already posted 8 plays for the NFL. So 17 plays posted for the weekend so far. And the best deal, of course, is to join for a week or a month or for the year and to get all of my selections and to also team me up with one of the other champion handicappers under the 2-for-1 capper special.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Kansas State here over Iowa State. I think we're really seeing for Iowa State what, no Brock Purdy, no Breece Hall, no Charlie Kolar does for this, Iowa State offense. As this Iowa State offense has a hard time converting on third downs, been giving up a lot of short fields. And I think that's not going to work against a Kansas State offense. It's really finding themselves with Adrian Martinez leading the charge. Iowa State, they've got a great defense, but again, I expect them to be stretched out here. A lot of that has to do with Iowa State playing a slow pace. And I don't think Kansas State's going to let Iowa State play a slow pace. I think Kansas State's going to dictate it here and look for Kansas State to make Iowa State uncomfortable, make Cyclones play catch up. And I don't think they're going to be able to. I like Kansas State in this one. And for myself, I picked Dogs Premium today. Like Ron said earlier, I think the best value is to go long term, at least with a 3-day. You're going to get all the football action this weekend, as well as my platinum plays and my MLB pickoff plays included in there as well. Those have been on fire. So definitely check it out over Pick Dogs Premium, whether you just take me or pair me up with someone else part of the 2-for-1 capper promotion. And remember to use that promo code 15 off.
Jay?
Yes, sir, man. I'm going to the BYU Notre Dame game. I alluded on Notre Dame earlier. Notre Dame has not been good this season. They're overrated. And now you want me to lay points against a ranked opponent. I know everybody's going to say Notre Dame is undefeated in this Shamrock series. I understand that, but they don't win here today, and they definitely don't cover. BYU wins this game outright. That's my upset of the week. Notre Dame, when you lose to Marshall outright, I know their defense has stepped up, but they have no offense, and I just can't get behind it. North Carolina's defense, I know they put up 45 last week, but that was more to do with North Carolina's defense more so than Notre Dame's offense. I still think this offense is inept. I think BYU comes in here, plays ball control, and does move the football pretty well in this Notre Dame defense, and I think BYU wins this game outright. Give me BYU on the money line.
Sean?
For sale today, I have
Sorry.
my bad. I got 9 plays out there today. I think I have 7 college football, 2 MLB. I like what I got out there in the MLB today, playoffs. The Blue Jays let me down yesterday. I also had the Guardians yesterday, and I got 2 plays up there for y'all. MLB today, 7 plays, like I said, in the college football. I have a late pack. I got a midday pack, my best bet up there. So I got them all broken down different ways. Y'all, if y'all want to hop on that. But the best way is to hop on a long-term package, 3-day, 7-day, 30-day. I'm probably going to have a lot of plays for tomorrow. I know I missed the NFL show earlier this week, but I'm locked in on the NFL this week, man. There's a lot of great value out there, so I think y'all should hop on a long-term package, man. I got like 9 plays today. I'm going to have a good handful tomorrow, so the best way to go.
Sean?
Yeah, I'm going to go West for this one. I like Washington State plus the points on the road against USC here. USC comes in undefeated, of course, in the season at 5-0, but they've failed to cover the last 2 games. The last 2 years, this game hasn't really been competitive. USC's rolled to 38-13, 45-14 wins. I just think this year's Washington State team is kind of built to cover this kind of spread. We had them earlier this year, similar spot on the road against Wisconsin back in week 2. And of course, they won that game outright. This is the highest point spread we've seen over the last couple of years. Last year, USC was a 7-point favorite on the road against the Cougars. I just think they can play tough defense here, run the football. We've seen Washington State go on some long drives this year. I just think they can kind of shorten this game, and that obviously favors the team catching all the points. So I'll go with Washington State plus the points today. As for plays on the site, I've got 7 college football on the go today, off to a 32-16 start to the season. So really, happy about that. Also 3 CFL games today on the go. 3 CFL plays, 2 games on the go there on a good, really solid run in the CFL over the years. I know not a lot of people pay attention, but we get a lot of soft lines in those games. And it's worthwhile to check those out. 1 MLB as well, and 5 NFL posted for tomorrow. So obviously the best way to get on board is with a 3-day package or a week or a month or even a year. Obviously much better value over trying to buy. I've got 11 plays on the go today. So 11 plays times $40. It's, much more worth your while to pick up a long-term pass and get in on all those plays. So looking forward to it.
I had Washington State on my initial list of, where I go through the games, I do the eye test, and I rarely land on those same games, but I always do it. I go through the whole slate and I write them down, and then I go in and I handicap every single game. And then if they were on my initial list, then those ones are definitely, I just have, kind of a mental system I use.
Yeah.
But Washington State, what scared me there was the 116th against the pass against the Lincoln Riley offense. And also,
well, they had that one really bad game there against Oregon where they gave up 34 of 45, 446 yards, but
it was all
after the
minutes that they gave that.
Yeah,
up.
and that was after the 3-0 start, and I just think they kind of got ahead of themselves there in that game and let down their guard, which you obviously can't do against an Oregon offense in that game. So they still covered the number in that game actually, and
they
there's just a team
they're also 115th in turnovers on offense, and then USC is number 1 in the nation in turnovers defensively. They've got 12 takeaways already this season. So it's just
USC.
I'm rooting for Washington State. I will probably put money on them myself, but it's like
USC. It's pretty crazy that USC they haven't turned the ball over yet this year. So that's why they're number 1. No turnovers.
But also defensively, they've got 12 takeaways. On the defensive side of the ball on top of it. So it's like, that is a magical combination there. They're number 1 in takeaways, 12 of them, while, Washington State has only 5 turnovers, but that's 115th in the nation, when it's just, I don't know. Believe me, I'm rooting for Washington State. I think USC is the paper champion. They're my San Diego Chargers of the college football this year. They will get busted up. Jovan, what do you think of this slot?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at the BYU Notre Dame game as well, and I'm on Notre Dame in this one. I just think it's a situation where Notre Dame plays bully ball. They've been playing better. Their defense is rock solid, and they're gonna win in the trenches just on the strength of them being bigger than BYU. So that's my thinking on this play. So quarterback play, Notre Dame is sorely lacking in that, but I just think that their run game could get it done in this one. So give me Notre Dame.
But we seen BYU against Baylor in a tough game just like this come out on top. So
Oregon shredded them. Oregon they just slaughtered BYU, and so that's the other side. And we saw Notre Dame last time out. That running back that I don't know his name, but man, he's really, really Notre Dame gets. It's Notre Dame. That running back on Notre Dame is really good. He's an NFL running back. That guy they have. He's really good, man.
And the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm kicking myself in the ass that this wasn't a premium play because I had it on my list. It just stayed outside the premium side. So
it stayed out of mine.
I've been to the Shamrock games before. I was at the first Shamrock at Soldier Field against Miami, and believe me, there was nothing fun about it being on the other side of it. You want to see some laundry? Oh man, they start playing that, the. It's like, oh my God, get me out of here. Anyways, Rod, what do you got?
For me, I agree. I'm with Sean as well. The Washington Cougars here.
Rod, I hear you. I'm with you. I don't want to hear bagpipes again.
So you just look at this game and just what you guys said. You said the turnover about Washington. I think the Cougars hold on to the ball and they don't turn it over, and
then they
keep it close.
Then they win.
And then you look the Cougars defense. They've been able to get 5 turnovers themselves. So I think that goes today, and USC does get a turnover today, and the Cougars steal one. Maybe 1 or 2 turnovers make a big difference, but there's just too many points here. This Cougars defense has been solid. They're 6-1 ATS after allowing 20 points or less. You look, they're 4-0 ATS the last 4 conference games, while USC 1-7 in the last 8 conference games. And the road team 7-2 ATS the last 9 meetings between these two teams. I think it's just too many points. I like the Cougars here plus the points as well. a 10-point win for USC. I think USC wins, but not by that many points. Too many. And for me over at Pick Dogs Premium today, I got quite a few. I broke them up into different packages. I got an early morning, my college football executive triple going. It includes my SEC game of the week going in that one. I got a midday 5-pack, which includes my Pac-12 game of the month. And then I got a night 3-pack. Get my I have 11 college football plays going today. I have an MLB triple going, and I got one play in hockey that I absolutely love. Your best way, get a long term, grab a 3-day, grab a 7-day, grab a week. That way you get all those plays. It's definitely it's more savings to you than buying each plays individually. Big winning day coming. I'm excited. I love today's card.
Hey, I missed my pitch, so let me just give my spiel. Yeah, I got 12 plays in all, a 5-pack for the noontime games, 5-pack for the rest of the slate, and a couple bonus plays. So in all 12, $49.99 for the 5-packs. That's it.
I'm taking Kentucky to beat the crap out of South Carolina in this one. Kentucky has had tremendous starts under Stoops. The pre-basketball games for Kentucky have, over the last, under Stoops, have been remarkable record. Kentucky's a regular bowl team now. It's because of these early season games. Spencer Rattler's quarterbacking for South Carolina. That's just another check mark for me for Kentucky. This guy's, if you can't get it done with the weapons they gave you at Oklahoma, you're not going to get it done in South Carolina against this Kentucky defense. And while the South Carolina defense is a sieve against the run, and we know Kentucky's run game hasn't been much, it's amazing how a bad run defense will all of a sudden create a run offense for another team. We see it all the time, and we're going to see it in this one too. Look for Kentucky to just run all over the Gamecocks, really, really slaughter them up in this one. South Carolina can't run the football either, and even if they could against the Stoops defense, good luck to you. I'm going to take Kentucky. I think they win going away. We're getting a bargain because Levis probably isn't going to go. So we're going to get a bargain of bargains in this one. Lay the extended line, like 2 touchdowns in this thing. Anyways, go to the next one. We got Coastal Carolina visiting Louisiana Monroe. Whoa. North Carolina State hosting Florida State. Alabama against Texas A&M. We're finally starting to hear people that agree with me that Jimbo Fisher, not a great coach. I thought it was really interesting that nobody would say how much money they're paying these players, and which is going to lead that they're going to have to mandatory reporting is what's going to be the next step. And then the recruiting, then the violations will happen because the reporting was done incorrectly, right? That would be the next step to this. Arizona, we've seen this whole path before. Arizona versus Oregon, Boise versus Fresno, San Diego State against Hawaii, and Stanford against Oregon State. We got a lot of bad defenses in this time slot. Ron, any thoughts on that image licensing and Nick Saban saying how, calling out Jimbo Fisher for before the season, saying that they were basically dirty and that every player was bought and paid for. But then when it came time for him to disclose what his players were making, not a peep.
Personally, I don't have enough knowledge on the whole situation to really make a comment. But
let's just say they're all scummy.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's always been some things under the table that's been happening in college football. But
some schools are better at it than others.
Yeah, exactly. But in that time slot, I've actually got 3 premium plays in that time slot. So the one game free play wise I like is Florida State getting the points against NC State. I mentioned on the live show that we did with Chris on Thursday that I just don't really love Devin Leary at quarterback. I know the numbers kind of disagree with me, but I've watched him quite a bit, and I just don't think he's an elite level quarterback in the ACC. And I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think Florida State's defense really improved from last year where it was not very good at all. But I think the offense has also improved quite a bit. They can run the football. I like their quarterback play. Their offensive line really stepping it up this year. So I think it's a close game. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see overtime in this one, but I'll take those points with Florida State.
I'll let it go in a minute. But the thing is that Bryce Young, we've never seen actual college players in TV commercials before. This is a new thing this year. And Bryce Young in those Dr. Pepper commercials That's why they won't say what it is, because this kid's pulling down $5 million plus a year. Al, what do you got? He is.
No,
Before he was ever named the starting quarterback at Alabama, he had already earned over $1 million.
Well, you know, it's a
that
free
Nick
market.
Saban said last year. He said Bryce Young has earned over $1 million in image licensing. He hasn't even been named the starting quarterback yet.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it myself. Just, you know, let these kids make what they can make.
Well, it's gonna get ugly out there. I mean, you know that.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, this is like just every time Texas A&M is on the road, I'm going to always look to go against them because they suck away from College Station. The Aggies are now 14-43 ATS when playing away from home. If they're an underdog and not off back-to-back losses, I'm going to fade A&M here.
Chris?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go towards this Fresno State Boise State game, and I'm going to lay the points with the Broncos. I really liked how Boise State looked offensively with Taylor Reed leading the charge. You know, they really took it to San Diego State. Now, San Diego State not a great offensive team this season, but they still have a decent defense, and Boise State really held nothing back in that game. And I just don't want any part of Fresno State without Jake Haener at quarterback. He's ruled out for this one with an ankle issue, and we saw how much of an impact that has on Fresno State as they went out and lost outright to UConn, laying 22.5. So I'm going to take Boise State in this one. I think the Broncos win this one by at least 10 points.
Jay?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Al in this time slot, man. Alabama runs all over A&M today. A&M came in hyped like they always do, and then they let you down like they always do. Alabama already had their scare of the year against Texas, and like Al said, Alabama on the road is just not a good thing. I mean, Texas A&M on the road is just never a good thing. And on the comments of the licensing, did you see that the guy from Gonzaga said he could have went to the NBA, but he stayed because he was going to make like $500,000 his first year in the NBA. But if he stayed at Gonzaga, now he's making like a couple million. So
yep,
you know, it's just how it goes.
But it's going to be out of hand. The image licensing and the transfer portal, between those two things, I agree that there should be both of these things, but I think for the image licensing, there needs to be a cap and it needs to be reported, just like there's a cap in the NFL and just like there's a cap in college basketball. If there's no cap, okay, you're going to see boosters lay it out, and teams like Houston are going to be unbeatable. Absolutely. There's no way that anyone can run if you get the right booster behind you. There's no way that anyone could run with them. What are you going to do? Run with a billionaire? You know, good luck. They'll make more money than the Cowboys are. You know, you find a team like that. Michigan has big boosters. Harvard, Yale. I mean, who knows where they're going to be, you know, when all this shakes out. Because those guys have money to burn. Jovan? Did you give a pick, Jake?
Alabama runs over A&M.
Right. And then people left, so it all got shifted around here. The boxes. Rod, I think, is back. But I think Jovan is up.
All right.
I think you missed my spot there.
Oh, Sean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What happened is like
He jumped up.
I don't control these boxes. They flip around, so I'm like trying to moderate comments. I'm doing customer service. I'm doing everything here at once, and it's college football Saturday. You know. What do you got?
I was going to just talk about this Hawaii San Diego State game. We've gone against San Diego State a couple times this year, taking Utah and Boise State. Both of those were blowout wins. The Aztecs offense is just kind of broken this year with Braxton Burmeister in there at quarterback. It's just not working out. You look at that game last week, they completed two of 16 passes for 33 yards in that game against the Broncos. So, you know, there's just an ugly offensive team. I'm going to look at the under in this one, though, rather than take the points with Hawaii because, you know, Hawaii is just another bad team as well. And I do still have respect for the San Diego State defense, which, as usual, is still still solid. Last week we saw them give up 35 points, but that was just more to do with the fact that the offense couldn't stay on the field. I think it's a different story here. I think we see both teams kind of eat up the clock in this one. We're getting a total in the high 40s, whereas last year we saw a total of 45. That game stayed under with only 27 total points. So, I see this being kind of like a 31-7 type game or something like that. So we'll go with the under in this one.
Jovan?
Yeah, call me crazy, but I'm gonna take Arizona. The point spread, not the money line. But I just something about Oregon on the road. It's gonna be raining out in Arizona for, I guess, for one. I don't know. I don't know about the weather situation in Arizona usually, but it's gonna be raining
Never
chance of rain's gonna it's at 6. Never rains. So yeah, it's raining in Arizona. So, I just think that it kind of aligns for some wacky things that happen on the late night. Bo Nix, I've never been a Bo Nix guy, so I think that they keep this within this point spread at least. It's 13.5 at this right now. It might tick up to 14, who knows? But yeah, I think I'm gonna give Arizona a shot.
I don't know about the rain in the desert. I don't know if that's going to hold up, Rod. But I don't mind the pick. Anytime you bet against Bo Nix, it's usually good money. Rod?
Well, I like Oregon State here. Take the Beavers. I think the Beavers will be able to control this game right from start to finish. They'll be able to run the ball and have no problem running it against Stanford's brutal 124th ranked rush defense. The Cardinals giving up over 200 yards of rushing per game. And sure, the Beavers lost last week, but they lost to the Utes, and they definitely tried to hang in there against the Utes, plenty in that game, and a couple turnovers left them a little bit behind. But you look at the Cardinals this year, and I just don't get it. I don't know why the Sharks are humping up on the Cardinals. They're 0-4 ATS this season and have been awful. Beavers 8-3 ATS their last 11 following an ATS loss. Well, Stanford 1-10 ATS their last 11 at home. 0-9 ATS their last 9 after allowing 40-plus points in the previous game, which I think Oregon State can easily plug on them here. Stanford goes to 0-5 ATS on the season.
Terrible.
Keep fading them. They're just
Terrible.
awful. Just keep fading them. I don't get why
They played a
think
tough
they're gonna show
schedule
up today.
They played a
They have
tough
played a
schedule.
tough schedule, yep. But so has Oregon State. They played some pretty good solid
I
teams
know.
too.
Oh, no, the Stanford
So-
defense, though, I mean, those numbers are so bad.
Oh,
Terrible. Terrible.
Stanford
So-
money line.
I'm going to take Florida State against. I'm going to take Florida State with the points here against NC State. I don't know who wins this game. I think this is a coin toss. I think this is one of those games that could go to overtime type games. We see a lot of overtime, and I'm a strong believer. And I know Al said, was it 3%? He said last week of all games that are decided by
3.3
3.3
within a half
games
point.
that are decided, but I think this is going to be within that 3.3%. I'm telling you, I'll take my 3.3. We'll give everybody else that 96.7% to work with. I think this one stays within the number, and I think this game is potentially an overtime game as well. I just think that the defenses rule the day. I think NC State might pull out the win at home, but I think at the same time, I think it's within the number. I'm going to take the points here with Florida State. And I just think it's one of those games, that you just is Tessitore calling this one? Probably. It's one of those games. Anyways, that wraps up the college football segment. If anyone wants to talk baseball, we can do that. Al, any of these games on the card that you want to talk about in Major League Baseball wild card action?
Well, I think the obvious one would be the under in the DeGrom-Snell matchup. The over-under line sitting at 5.5. DeGrom at home in his career when the Mets are off a loss, 37-19 under. Both pitchers have gone under, in their career matchups versus their respective opponent. DeGrom 7-3 under versus the Padres. Snell 5-1 under versus the Mets. I'll take it under the 5.5. As far as I think it's the early game. I don't have the schedule in front of me. The Tampa Bay Rays.
That's early.
Is it? Yeah. with Glass now, I think they're 22-11 behind him. With apologies to McKenzie, I just think Glass now is a better pitcher. Pick 'em game, I'll take the better pitcher with Glass now.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to roll with St. Louis here, force a game 3. Aaron Nola pitched well on the road last time out, but really had issues on the road in his last few road starts. And St. Louis usually bounces back pretty well after a loss, 19-7 in their last 26 games following a loss. And Miles Michaelis, at least he can pitch well at home. On the road is where I have trouble backing him, but at home with their season on the line, I got to go with the Cardinals at this one.
He's also Miles Michaelos, also on the Mount Ruffalo more.
The Mount Ruffalo?
Mount the Ruffalo Mount Rushmore. Miles Michaelos.
Clayton Tune back on. We called off the construction crew after yesterday.
Clayton Tune back on. Stop chiseling.
That fourth down run was amazing.
That was. I think I tweeted that out. That's how amazing that fourth down run was.
Yeah. Tune with a play. But for me in baseball, man, I got 2 premiums in the early game, so I'm going to talk about the late games. To me, honestly, I will go 2-team parlay in this one. Mets and Cardinals both to force a game 3. Mets with DeGrom on the mound against the Padres. I just no way DeGrom loses at home to the Padres, man. I know there's a way, but I just don't see it, man. Like Ron always says, DeGrom is arguably the best pitcher in the game when he's on, and I think he's going to be on today in a big way. So I like the Mets on the money line, and the other one, I think the Cardinals, like Mitch said earlier, they don't have Wainwright or anybody in them, so they're really putting the pressure on McCullers to come through today, and I think he delivers. The Phillies had a great game yesterday, but I think the Cardinals bounce back, force a game 3. So I like Mets Cardinals 2-team parlay to force game 3s.
John?
I like the Mets as well, along with everyone else here. I'd probably consider weighing the run and a half with them here. I think that's paying out around plus 135, plus 140. Not always a good idea to be laying that extra run with a home team, obviously, but I think in this case, I think I'm going to be willing to do that here with DeGrom. You guys have covered it all. He's gonna pitch well. Blake Snell's kind of up and down. You never know when he's going to have a start where he issues 6 or 7 walks or something like that. So I'll go with the Mets in that one. Other play I don't mind is in the early game would be the over. I think it's at 5.5. The total in that one after that low-scoring game between the Guardians and the Rays yesterday. Just think Tristan McKenzie is one of those pitchers as well, where you never know if he doesn't have his command, he could end up putting a lot of guys on base, giving up a lot of walks, and I think the Rays could take advantage there. So I'd take a shot with that one over 5.5 or even over 6 in the early game.
Jovan?
Yeah, I didn't put any baseball, so I could run it down. Yeah, I'm on the Guardians. This is a situation where you got a team that's reeling, has lost six straight versus a team that's on the uptick, been on the uptick for a while, and that's that on that. Seattle, basically same thing. Did you see what Luis Castillo did last night? I think that on Robbie Ray, he gets to his old ball club, good plus money. So I like to be on the plus money side in that one. Yeah, it's all on DeGrom. I'll probably have to play it. I wouldn't play it. Yeah, I would play it first 5. I would also play it 1.5 minus 1.5 full game because I'm not laying $1.85 or whatever on any baseball game. That's just not how I play baseball. Blake Snell, how long is he gonna go before he gets pulled? He, regardless if he pitches well or not, he gets pulled after like 4 or 5 innings. So, that's the deal there. I'm on the Mets in that one. And, it was a backbreaker last night, giving up 6 runs, in the top of the 9th. But I think that St. Louis has the type of ball club to bounce back. So I'm on St. Louis in that one.
Rod?
And I like the Rays' first 5. I think last now comes. This will be his 3rd start back from an injury, and I think he goes a little more. I think you get 5 innings out of him, 5 solid innings. I like Tampa Bay in the first 5, and I like the Indians full game. I think they they get some runs. They pour some runs in late, like they did yesterday in the 7th inning. Rays were up early, and the Guardians came back and got the win late. And I think that same thing. We see the same thing. I think the Rays hold them down early. So take the Rays first 5, and then take the Guardians full game. And I think the bye-bye Rays.
Yeah, we had we hit that prop with the 2 hits yesterday, and that one as well with the Guardians on our show. I like the Guardians again. I just think they sweep them. I'm shocked that the Phillies got that win, and I think they're playing with house money at this point. I'm going to take the Cardinals to just romp them over, and I think Jacob deGrom throws a no-hitter tonight against the Padres. I really do.
The stat in that Cardinals, it was like the Cardinals were like 93-0, being up 2 runs.
Those stats all happen. They break just like the Rutgers punter had 143 punts without a touchback. I mean, how crazy was that? That streak ended yesterday. But at the same time, the Cardinals, are known for great managers and great fundamental baseball. The Cardinals traditionally are always a good team because they do the fundamentals really well. They coach up their pitchers really, really well. And I thought yesterday in the 9th inning, they didn't do any of those things well. Arenado lets a ground ball get past him. I mean, when's the last time that's happened? This guy is one of the greatest third basemen defensively in the history of the game. He's definitely the best defensive third baseman. I'd say he's better than Machado of the last decade easily. He's a Hall of Famer based just on his glove. Forget what he's done with his bat. He's that good. So I think the Cardinals bounce back in a big way here. Aaron Nola, last time out against Houston, was phenomenal to clinch it, the playoff spot for the Phillies. But I don't think he's so fortunate today. I like Albert Pujols to hit a home run as well. And don't have any parlays, Al? Got it. I know you always love the parlay segment.
Oh, what the hell?
He's in.
Yeah, maybe. I'm just trying to look at the game, see if any of these are even. I will do the 2 baseball plays, the under and the Mets Padres with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Chris.
Yeah, I'll go Boise State laying the points. I'll go with the over in Western Kentucky, UTSA, and over in TCU, Kansas.
Jay.
I gave y'all the baseball one a minute ago, Mets and Cardinals. And then in college football, I'm going to go with Utah money line. I'm going to go with Miami money line. And I'm going to go with Air Force laying the points.
Sean.
Yeah, I'll go 3 money line favorites here. I'll go Utah money line and TCU money line in college football, and we'll combine those ones with the Mets on the money line tonight in baseball.
Jovan.
Guardians, Mariners, Mets, and Cardinals.
Rod.
We're going to go to the Rays, first 5. We're going to take the Oregon State Beavers, and we're going to take the Edmonton Elks plus the points against Winnipeg. The Elks play the best on the road, 6-2 ATS this season on the road. Too many points against Winnipeg, way too many points.
Arkansas State plus the points, Miami of Ohio plus the points, Arizona State plus the points. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Make it a winning day. We'll see you guys for NFL Sunday. I don't know if Big Al will be here. He's going to the Cowboys-Rams game. So he's going to let us know exactly the snack bar rundown from snack bar to snack bar. So,
see that defense live in action.
We did. We're not mad about the pricing there. We just need to know. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Make it a winning day.